What's going on, guys, and welcome to this week's Theory Thursday. This week we're going to talk about what setting in the timeline sister location is. Is it going to be before FNAF 2, after FNAF 1, after FNAF 3? We've got a lot of possibilities today, so I need some help. So who do we have?
You've always got Ryan.
Other Ryan.
Razzbowski.
Let's get straight into it, guys.
Yeah! So the other day we actually celebrated the 2-year anniversary for Five Nights at Freddy's. Happy birthday, Five Nights at Freddy's, and congratulations, Scott, to creating a lasting legacy of a game. And what Scott did to celebrate was on scottgames.com, he popped a couple of images. Actually, I think it turned out to be quite a few images of models and rigging and stuff of how he developed the game. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, well, I think it's just that, really. Like, what he was kind of doing there was just really showing us his personal development, I guess you could say. You know, we saw teasers like the old FNAF 1 characters, and there was Springtrap as well without the head and stuff like that. You know, we'd never really seen something like that proper before, but the software you're actually seeing there, guys, is something called Autodesk 3ds Max. So I guess any aspiring people who are wondering how Scott made FNAF, you could probably search that up, and you can find free trials and things like that on the internet. But, you know, he was showing, like, shots from within FNAF 1, how he built the place, how it came to be, and I think it's really meant to just mean that, you know, how the game started as just a simple idea inside a software package and really what it amassed to.
Yeah, I think loads of people were taken out of context. You know how the FNAF community can sometimes, we've said in the past, can take things a bit too far with looking into something, I guess you could say. But I think Scott just wanted to celebrate, really, 2 years of Five Nights at Freddy's. It's crazy that it's been that long.
Yeah. It's definitely there was no hidden message in there as far as I can see. I had to look over each of the images, and I mean, it was cool. I mean, one of them, Foxy, was sticking his thumbs up, and he didn't even have a hook. So it's just showing how Scott developed the characters, and it's a little way of letting us behind the scenes. It was like a bonus DVD feature. You know how for celebration things they release new DVDs with extras on them. This was like a little extras thing that Scott was doing for us, which was very nice.
Yeah, when you save the images as well, it says anniversary, so it's definitely for the anniversary, nothing else. Because some people were saying that this was a, like, screenshots of, like, the actual pizzeria making the animatronics, and that was just really silly. So, because I was getting a lot of people telling me to make a video on it, and I was like, no, because it's not a teaser for the game, it's just the anniversary.
Yeah, it's like at the end of FNAF 4 as well. Like, there was an extras menu where he showed himself, like, building the models. And, like, I think strictly this was just to show really what it was and how the game started. And, like, I think a few people were saying as well, this is like a camera system for the in-game. Guys, it's literally just some software, and Scott trying to show his appreciation to us all on how the game came to be. And I guess he wants us to see as well, like, he's just a guy making games. Like, he's not this upper guy, you know, all the ideas are made from him, and I think it's just to really say thank you. Okay, and now straight into the main portion of this video, which is, of course, the time era of FNAF Sister Location. This is a hugely debated thing. We've all got a lot of ideas, and we're really just going to be sharing them with you guys. And also, guys, remember, this is Theory Thursday. This isn't Factual Friday or something like that. So what we say in this video is not meant to be taken as literally what the game's going to be. You guys can have your own opinions. That's what makes a theory at the end of the day. And the first question I'm going to ask to you all is, do you think it's set in the past, the present, or the future?
Me personally, I believe that it's set the same timeline as the other Five Nights at Freddy's. I wouldn't specifically say which one, but because the way it says in the synopsis, those other pizza places, it doesn't say those old, although, you know, those old, distorted, flipping horrible places. It says just those other places. I mean, I can understand why some people would be questioning the time era, because obviously just from answering that alone, you still don't know the time era. It could be Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, 3, could be either one of those. But I personally believe that it'll be like Five Nights at Freddy's 1 kind of time era, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Cool. Personally, I believe it's around about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Whether it's just before or after, I don't know yet. There's no... we got no proof as to why. The reason I'm saying this is because the animatronics look like they're based off of the toy animatronics, which were brand new for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The grand reopening, wasn't it? It was they were reopening that pizzeria. So whether the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria there in FNAF 2, whether those animatronics were based off the sister location animatronics or it was the other way round. This is where the big debate comes in, because obviously whatever the pizzeria that happened before Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was shut down. So this is when the possible sister location could come in, because they thought, where we need that, there's a gap in the market for a pizzeria. We've got this potential money. We can create a sister location, use similar designs of animatronics. That's why we've got Freddy and Foxy potentially in there, but revamp them, make them into something new. And this is where they come into the fun time versions of them, because immediately fun time suggests that you're going to have a great time. It's a more positive way of looking at them. Old Freddy, don't want to look at him anymore, but fun time Freddy, ladies and gentlemen, come to the new restaurant here. We've got your old favorite characters, but they are funner, they're more interesting, they're bright, they're colorful, they're pink and white. They're harmful colors. They're not dirty brown or red. They're quite negative colors, where they're pink and bright and shiny. This is when I think it could be set just before Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and maybe that's when they reopen the other place, because that happens at the sister location, obviously. So it's definitely around FNAF 2, whether it's before or after. Not 100%.
Yeah. I think it would be either after FNAF 2 or after FNAF 1, because it doesn't say the other pizza place, it says places.
Okay.
So obviously there's got to be more than one pizza location. But yeah, I just want to say the reason why we're talking about the timeline era is because a lot of people we made a theory on last video about Purple Man being the player in the game, and a lot of people were being like really angry at us because they think Purple Man's dead. Now, if we're doing this timeline theory, because if it's before Purple Man dies, then obviously we still have a chance as playing as him. But if it's not, then obviously we're playing as somebody else. But Ryan earlier said a really good idea. Like, even if we're not playing as Purple Man, we could be playing as like Purple Man's son or someone in the Purple Man family line. Because guys, you still got to remember, in the source codes it says Afton Robotics, so whether it's in the future or the past, it's Purple Man is still going to be linked with this location.
Yeah, because if it says like Afton Robotics, but we don't see any reference to the purple guy, then what relevance does that have by Scott leaving that there? And a big thing as well is like in the FNAF 4 game, when we're playing like the different nights in the bedroom, we see like the phone, we see all the purple things, the purple fan as well is there. And, you know, we might be playing as a younger brother. There's also an older brother who is like maybe teenage years. So even if it is in the future, we might be playing as the older version of the brother who killed his son. So that could be the potential as a playable character, because he does have remorse. But in the same light as well, if we're saying that this game is set like in FNAF 2, or the FNAF 2 time era, which I personally think it is, because here's the thing, guys. If you read the synopsis carefully, and I'm just going to pull up some notes here, for the FNAF 3 one more specifically, it's almost like FNAF 3 was a homage to the other pizzerias that no longer exist, because it says in the actual source, the synopsis, it says 30 years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed its doors, and then we're seeing like, you know, the dead purple guy and things like that. But the sister location says the other pizza places, meaning they're still open. So FNAF 3 is set way after, clearly the time era, I personally think, as the sister location. And you've also got to remember another thing, which is that in FNAF 3, in the phone calls which were found like 30 years after, potentially, because it might have been in one of those old pizzeria places, that's when it mentions the sister location. Definitely. So 30 years in the past. So who knows, this could have been prior to the purple guy dying. Maybe like you literally never know. And I think FNAF 3 is set so much in the future, and just because like it looks so clean, pristine and things like that for the sister location, it doesn't mean it's futuristic, because like I don't know, it seems almost like cliche, the look of this. I don't know if you guys get the same vibe from like an old sci-fi, you know, alien type film. Like, all the wires seem like over-exaggerated and stuff like that. It almost feels like that, I think.
Well, I was just thinking to myself, it can't be like in like the FNAF 3 time era, because FNAF 3 is re-celebrating, animating, I guess you'd say, the mysteries that surrounded the Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, so technically it has to be between somewhere between number 1 and number 2. I'd probably say number 2 now, more over, because of how Baby looks and how the animatronic looks with the rosy cheeks. It's kind of got the toy animatronic look about them, as if like they all released the same toy animatronics, maybe in the same time era to different sister locations. But I don't know. It can't be from number 3 onwards. It's got to be the second or the first, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. It's the it's about storytelling as well. We've got to remember this is all about storytelling. And what do we not know? We don't know much about the purple guy. We don't know what really happened in 1987. We've seen snips and bits and pieces, but that's still the biggest thing, isn't it? The bite of 87. Who did it?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to get tons of comments in the comment section now telling me who it was, but there is no definitive proof. There is not one piece of information that says, damn, it was Foxy that did it, or bam, it was Freddy that did it. There is no definitive proof. So this is one thing. Maybe Scott will leave that as a mystery, but that there is still no build up really to that point in time as well, because a lot of people say the events we saw in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 were the bite of 83, so or what was it, the crunch of 83 or the neck snap of 83, something like that.
Something, man, something. Yeah.
But from a storytelling point of view, the only thing after FNAF 3 events is Springtrap still alive. That's the only thing that we can do, and that's not really that great a thing to go back and explore, whereas going back and looking at the past, there's still one pizzeria, we're not really sure about anything that happened there, so maybe that's what this sister location is going to be, and it's just more interesting to look into the backstory than the future, if you know what I mean. There's just so many mysteries lying there that this sister location could help solve, or add more to, depending on how Scott's going to play it.
Yeah.
So we spoke a lot about the ideas and stuff like that as well, in terms of how this game could unfold and how it might make sense. But I was thinking to myself, like, so we know the purple guy is most certainly dead in FNAF 3. That's pretty much confirmed through the nights. We get these Force minigames. It's not like a secret Easter egg thing. So if this game was technically set in the past and sister location was in the same time era as like FNAF 2, and again going behind the whole idea of like revenge, breaking into these establishments, killing the kids there, and then them finally making him almost get the springlock failure, could it be, for example, that the sister location might follow behind that story? Because we don't hear about it mentioned in FNAF 3, there's no other, well, we hear about reference, but there's no other references, for example, in like the plots of a sister location. So this might have been like William Afton's kind of pizzeria alongside. So could it be that maybe by the end of the game we might hear about William Afton breaking into these establishments, and then maybe on night 5 he might die through springlock failure? So, and that would make sense as well, I think, to kind of end the game. So it would almost give closure and like tell us more about the events as to why he would use the crank and take part of these animatronics, because we don't know why still. So that game could fill in that massive gap, and we'll hear about the murdered kids, we'd hear about potentially the bite of 87 as well. We'd know exactly all the other things that have gone behind the scenes that we haven't learned about.
Yeah. Well, it just makes you think like why he knowingly destroys these animatronics. Maybe he doesn't know that they're possessed by these souls or whatever, and he doesn't actually know that is going to be the death of him in the end. But it's strange that he destroys because it wasn't him that planted the kids inside the suits, it was the puppets. So how would he know that the children are inside those suits?
So he must have, like, the way I'm seeing this now then is he must have killed 5 of the children potentially in maybe FNAF 2 or FNAF 1. We see that in the Easter egg minigame. The puppet gives them life, then he dismantles them, and then he sees the souls of all the kids he may have killed, and that's why he's so panicked. So it's sort of like he didn't know these suits were haunted, and then he dies. It just seems like, I don't know, I think the sister location is going to be kind of like, it's like a building, and then there's like, it might fill off the top layer and just give us the full, sandwich, I guess you could say. I think it's just going to reveal the rest of the information, I think.
I think so too. It's like going back to what we were saying last week. We don't really have a motive for him, and that's the biggest mystery, because at the moment he just seems like a senseless psychopath, whereas if we did have some sort of reasoning behind why he killed the children, I'm not saying we'd sympathize with him or understand why he's doing it, but it kind of just fills in the whole story. There's a lot of mystery surrounding him, and it all goes back to the source code with Afton Robotics. It's all there, and it makes sense if he does own the robotics, whether he is a genius with them or he's just made the company and he's called it after himself. We don't know that yet, but he obviously knows what he's doing with them. He knows what he's doing. We've seen him dismantle things. We've seen him use the springlock suit. So to have him creating his own branch and him owning the sister location would make business sense. What you're going to do after a certain amount of time, you're running a successful business, it's going really well, you create another one to try and make even more money. Some people might not like the style of the other one, so why not monopolize the market by creating another branch and making healthy competition, because it breeds curiosity. People that went to the old pizza place might be like, well, I'm sick of pizza there, let's go and grab a slice of za at this new place, instead of going and getting I don't know, some sort of other food, a Taco Bell or something. But the Purple Man is going to be here. He has to be. He has to be. So that's why I think it is going to be set before Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
So you guys were talking about Purple Man going to the old location and wrecking all the animatronics without a purpose. What if his purpose was like to intentionally destroy the FNAF franchise and get it closed down, but go back to the place and be a smart guy and take them apart and use those parts for the animatronics? His animatronics, like stealing the parts or something. But it went wrong, and that's how he died.
Yeah.
So,
maybe, and I guess that makes you think as well. Like, did he invent the spring lock suits, which is why he knew to climb inside?
Yeah,
of it?
because we've always had that theory that Purple Man is the technician, because you see him in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 putting on the suit for somebody. So I think he definitely knows. I think that's why Scott showed it, because he knows about the spring lock suits.
Yeah, I mean...
maybe like cheaped out on the parts then, and maybe he fell victim to his own problem. Like, you know, the spring lock failure had all these small little tiny things that really make no sense how they would spring lock, like a little bit of water or something. And maybe he built this thing, because he built it, he was like, you know, Afton Robotics material. He was there laughing, thinking I've won, and yet he didn't realize it actually cheaped out a lot.
Yeah, because I was going to say, it doesn't make sense at all. Why? What was that?
Wait, you've got to realize, you got to think though. He takes them apart, but like only the last night he dies, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then when you go in the room, you do see this spring suit. So maybe he was trying to fix it or something, because we know in FNAF 2 that a yellow suit was taken. So maybe he took the broken suit and then tried to fix it or something like that.
Well, for his own little, But I was going to say, it doesn't make sense why he's tearing these animatronics apart, because he, like I said before, he doesn't know that these kids are in these suits, so that would make a lot of sense, the fact that he would be stealing counterparts, because we know that the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 animatronics were brought to life from the old animatronics, so if that was him doing that, then that actually makes a lot of sense, come to think about it.
Well, there you go, guys. That was this week's Theory Thursday, where we discussed about the sister location and when we personally thought when it's going to be set in the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline. We also talked more details about Purple Man and his motive, and obviously the anniversary pictures as well. Thank you very much for the boys for once again being in this week's episode. Their links to their channels will be in the description down below. Lots of love. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you all next week.